Record.
Hi, welcome everyone. You are joining us today for Our Stories. And let me get my screen up so we can do, of course, it's not there, even though I just pulled it up. I'm sorry, hold on one second. There we are. My name's Kathy, and I will just be the tech host, and Maryellen will be our speaker today. So she'll give us a more detailed intro of all the many things that she's done. But she is a writer, publisher, presentation coordinator of the Renaissance Society of Sacramento. That's one of the organizations that is hosting this virtual event. So two organizations are actually working together to bring this virtual event to our larger community, our online community. The first one is Renaissance Society at CSUS, which is California State University, Sacramento. That's where both Maryellen and I reside. And the Renaissance Society is all about lifelong learning. So it provides opportunities for participatory lifelong learning and community engagement for adults. I had the link in all of the emails that you received from me, and actually I'll do a follow-up email and you'll get it again, but that's the very long link. The second organization that is co-hosting today is Friendship Force of Sacramento. We're an organization, we're actually a global organization, and we're dedicated to cross-cultural understanding, and our members travel and host others in the name of global friendship and peace. And our website's pretty easy, ffsacramento.org, or you could just Google Friendship Force, and that would take you to our international website because we have over 300 clubs around the world. Now, I'll put this in our chat again, but I have put it in once. And if you want to register for more upcoming events, you could either follow us as an organizer on Eventbrite, or the link to see all of our upcoming events is renaissancecafesacramento.com/events. I will put that again in chat. And if you want to see previously recorded programs, that's the link to our YouTube channel. Neither Maryellen nor I record or edit the videos. We are not professionals. We are just involved with an organization that wants to give back to our community. And so we put these on and then we post them for folks who might be interested. So the event etiquette for today is to mute yourself just to minimize background noise. Maryellen, if it stays real small, you let us know if you want people to unmute. We will be using chat quite a bit for questions, for prompts. We just ask that everyone be kind and respectful. This is fun, it's for fun, and remember, Maryellen is volunteering her time to present this virtual event. Really simple supplies list. We do a lot of hands-on, and so we always usually have a much longer supply list, but this one's pretty simple. You're either going to have paper and pencil, or a pen, or a computer. So I'm going to stop sharing. Looks like we have 10 on now. Welcome, everyone. We're so glad that you're here. And if you haven't yet, I would ask you to please let us know where you are located. And I'm putting into chat again where you can go to see the upcoming events that are open and available for free to the public, and then where you can see our YouTube channel. So just copy that link from the chat and you'll have that information. I will also send out a follow-up. Thank you for joining us, and for people who don't join us, I'll send them a link to the recording, and I'll have both those links in there as well. So Maryellen, I'm going to ask you to give us a little background, and I am going to turn it over to you. So thank you, Maryellen.
Thank you so much, Kathy. I appreciate that you're always willing to do this. I'll share my screen in a few minutes, but I just wanted to say a few things about me. You don't need to know much more than I have 150 fountain pens with golden nibs in every ink that you know, so we're going to have to talk fountain pens. Only poetry I ever had published was called Fountain Pens. I have been a writer since I was 9, and I wrote my first play and had it performed in my elementary school. I didn't doodle, which is why I no longer call myself an artist, even though I do art as well. Every chance I get, it is pen to paper. Although I'm going to talk about it's faster to do things on the computer, there's something that is organic and visceral about that fountain pen that is on paper that makes me more creative. But you're going to use whatever style you want to use. I have also been I was a journalist. So I was editor of my college newspaper. I have been a journalist. I started working in publishing when I was 21 or 22 with 10-Speed Press. I have done West Coast promotions for all the major publishers. And I have also worked with both mostly with indie writers and publishers to get their work in print, probably over 250 writers by now. And that's not just books, that includes, articles and all the rest. I'm now affiliated, I have my own publishing company I'm just launching called Morning Coffee Press. And in Sacramento, I helped with others here in Sacramento to get the I Street Press, which is a print-on-demand machine at our local library. And we have now produced over 232 local writers on that as well. But now about you. And this is going to be interactive. Let me I always have a hard time getting to that start of that slideshow. I really wanted to call this Our Stories, Our Stories. But things that you can do right in a short period of time. These are not supposed to be finished at all. I'm a firm believer in rough draft. These are story sparkers, things to get you going, the kind of thing you can do every day. So one of the things I want you to do is, what do you want to write? And if you can post that in the chat, I'm not going to be able to see it, but Kathy will. Do you write memoir, fiction, nonfiction, novels, short story, essay, cookbook, historical fiction, science fiction, essay, whatever it is, if you will put that in the chat. I have only written a very few poems. I've written one short story that needs to be a novel, but I don't feel like doing it. I have written plays, but I am basically a nonfiction person. I have written and published 6 different books, and I won't try to hype them here. But if you can put that in the screen, that would be great. One of the things that for me is how to write when you only have 16 minutes a day. And the reason that I say 16 minutes a day, and today we're going to try to do a 1 minute, we're actually going to do a 2-minute, 10-minute writing prompts, is because if you sit down for 15 minutes a day and can get 250 words out, if you do have a book, you could finish a book in an entire year. So that's just to let people know it is doable. I wrote a book I have written 3 books in 6 weeks. Each book only took 6 weeks. And it was done because I was challenged, one by a publisher that needed to fill in a deadline date, and the others as well. Could they have been better? Yes. Did I only do the writing? Did it still take 6 months to do the book, or a year? Absolutely. But you can just get a lot done. And here's some quotes that I really love that I think that you should hold in mind. I sent all these to everyone ahead of time. Everybody walks past 1,000 story ideas every day. The good writers are the ones who see 5 or 6 of them. Most people don't see any. The first thing I always do, I have a journal. I am always writing story ideas. Terry Pratchett, the first draft is just telling yourself the story. Jodi Picoult, you can always edit a bad page. You can't edit a blank page. And Louis L'Amour, start writing no matter what. The water does not flow until the faucet is turned on. One of the things that I like to do is bring characters to life. This is actually going to be your very first prompt. This is something that I learned in theater. I'm always a theater person. And that is that if you're trying to get to character, you have to look at behavior. I'm a firm believer that when we're writing nonfiction, we're trying to have a person. If we're talking about a person, we're trying to bring that person to life. If we're talking about a place, travel writing. We're trying to bring that place to life. So what I want you to do is, into 1 minute, write a list of behaviors that the person you want to write about, whether real or fictional, or a place, what characters do they have? Or if you have dictation on your word processing program in Word, I can do that. I can talk a list of behaviors faster than I can write. What underlying values or beliefs do they hold? What is their darker side? What do they conceal, reveal in casual conversation? You're going to have 1 minute to do this. Kathy, will you be able to time? I turned my phone off. I think she can. By spending some time thinking about and observing character traits, you can learn more about yourself and others and develop rich characters that are more true to life. Having well-developed characters in your writing will make your characters more three-dimensional and allow the reader to identify. Again, it can be a place or a thing as well, so go.
I've got the timer on, Maryellen.
Thank you, and then we'll have people share afterwards.
Okay. And a few people did share what kind of writing in chat.
Great.
We're halfway. And Maryellen, that's a minute.
Great, thank you. And what we are going to do is I'm going to stop sharing. I think I can go back fairly quickly so that we can actually share. And I'll start with just one thing for myself. If I was going to describe myself, you can recognize me. I always have ink-stained fingers. Anybody else want to share what you've come up with? And don't be shy.
You would need to unmute, or if you want, you can use chat and I'll say it. It's up to you.
I'll go.
Thank
I
you.
didn't read the second part of the screen, but now that I realize that it's sort of be self-revelatory, it's interesting. So I like characters that are adventurous, funny, bold, surprising, warm, curious, brave, and courageous.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Good list. And keep that list, because everybody else listen to what she said, because you might use that later. Anyone else want to share?
Can share.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, okay, so I wrote a fictional character list, basically. It's just a list of traits, so just a bunch of different things. I wrote kind, like a character that's kind yet sarcastic, inspirational, ambitious, loyal, manipulative, friendly, oh god, what does that say? Tech savvy, punctual, an author, a mystery writer, you know, because they're an author, mysterious and usually reclusive. So
Great list. Good. Thank you so much. Anyone else feel like sharing? And if you don't share now, we can share later. So what I'm going to do is go back to my shared screen and go to the next slide. And you can tell me this is not my hand, but that is where I am most of the time. I keep a journal. I probably have 5 journals going on at once. My basement is full of them. And I constantly jot down, especially words that describe things, impressions or whatever, and go back. And that's usually where my writing starts. I wanted to just give you some statistics. So how many words can you type in a minute? The average is 40. I actually type 90 words a minute. My brain works really hard. When you're handwriting, the average is 20. That doesn't mean that you're less. I like to do both. When I'm really on a roll, I like to type. When I really feeling inspired, there's something again about that textural thing of hand on paper. How many words can you write in an hour? Approximately 700 words. So if we were just leaving here and writing, you would have the equivalent. You'll see how many words in a 15-minute speech. 1,800 to 2,500 words. That means when we go to do the transcription for me today, you might find that by the time I'm done talking, I have talked 5,000 words. That's twice as many as the average article in the New York Times, the average, literally. Blog posts now, blog posts used to be real short. They're now expanding. They're finding that if you want something to go viral, it has to be closer to 2,000 words. It used to be 500. The average is 1142. Newspaper article 500 to 750. So you can see that you can be surprised at what you can get done in the hour. However, how many words can you speak in 5 minutes? 500 to 650, which is why I oftentimes recommend talking into recorder to get you started instead of just sitting down with that pen and paper. We're going to do another prompt, and I don't know if anybody's ever heard of Guggenheim's. If you have you? Guggenheim's is something that the New York Times actually created during the Depression when people needed something to do. It uses a 5, and you can kind of see this is a grid of 5 across, 5 down. And what they would do is every day they would put a different theme in. You would put your words on the top. You would do random letters on the side. And you would create these really fun games, and it really helps build vocabulary. I want you to do one now. We're going to do this in 2 minutes. This is normally a 5-minute game. We're going to do it in 2 minutes because I'd rather share more. But one of the most important things in writing to me, if you want writing to come alive, one is the character's behavior. The other is that you really need to, what are they tasting, touch? What does the story do? Smell, sight, hear, using all the senses. And even though I have those words up, I want you to go down on each of these. I want you to think of as many words that describe taste, touch, smell, sight, and hear. I want you to use the type 1. See if you can in 2 minutes get 25 words done.
Maryellen, we had a request, give an example.
Okay, so for taste could be as simple as bitter.
Okay.
Right? Touch, and there's single words. So touch can be prickly. Smell can be acrid. For sight, what are you seeing? Sunset, right?
Perfect.
And what do I hear? And it's hard to do one word, birds. But you're just looking for one word. And there is no right answer, by the way. Don't get yourself, no editing. This is a 2-minute, you're just doing it. It doesn't even matter if it fits both categories or what. But you're just trying to come up with words that you can use, because those words become story sparkers. One-word prompts are the best prompts you can use for writing about something.
Okay, so I'm going to start.
Okay, thank you, Kathy.
And we are halfway, 1 more minute. And there we are at 2 minutes. Yes,
Great.
Chantal, we will have access. You will have access. We will send you a link to the recording, and I'm also going to put in chat just real quick so everyone has it, because we've had a couple people join. If you want to sign up for upcoming free events, and if you want to see our YouTube channel that has many, many previous recordings.
And I
Mary
see somebody said they had a hard time with smell. Smell's hard to do, I have to say, in a single word, because we tend to want to describe those. But I'm going to do the same thing. I did send everyone that signed up the whole slideshow that has the grid and everything with it. We will send it again to everyone who came today and everyone who missed, along with the link. But who again, and you don't have to share all 25, but who would like to share, or even just a few of them? Alexander, thank you.
Yeah, okay. So for taste, I did sour, acidic, sweet, spicy, and that was it. Touch, I
Okay.
got soft, hard, rough. God, I can't read that. Smooth and cold. For smell, and sticky as well. Smell, I got stinky, sour. I don't know what that says, or that. Perfume. Sight, I got bright, shiny, dark, translucent, clear, and foggy. Hearing, I got loud, quiet, soft, harsh, and grating.
Great. Thank you. Who else would like to share?
I can do it.
Thank you.
Here we
Thank
go.
you.
Taste, I had sweet, sour, bitter, and lemony, and I got frozen there. Touch, I had soft, rough, woolly, wet, and dry. Smell, I had foul, musky, and rose, and I really struggled with that one. Sight, I had light, dark, blue, blurry, and clear. And here I put barks, chirps, cars, planes, and wind.
Great. Who else wants to share?
I will.
Okay, thank you.
For taste, I have sour, slimy, bitter. For touch, sticky, smooth, scratchy. For smell, sweet, funky, putrid. For sight, tree, truck, cat. And for hear, cardinal, siren, car.
Thank you so much. Anyone else? There was a trick to that one. And that was, did you in general find that a little hard to do? It was hard for a reason, and that's why I gave you that. And we're not going to do it now. But do it later. When you don't have anything specific, it's really hard to come up with words. But if I would have set the scene and then you used the words, words, it would have been much, much easier. So, and I'm just trying to think of a good example. Walking in the rain. If I would have said walking in the rain, then if you went back to look at all those, then you go, now I got a whole different way of describing that. So that was a trick, just to show you that, the little hard thing, but go back. It's a really wonderful way of using that grid whenever I'm, and I don't write a lot of fiction, but I write creative nonfiction, which means, in fact, I've got a book coming out called Mostly True Stories, because people just don't believe some of the stories. The other thing is that I write a lot about younger times in my life. How am I going to remember a conversation that I had with my father, right? I mean, you just don't. You're not going to remember it. But what you remember is the context. And if I can remember the sound and everything else that's going on, it makes it much easier. So hold on, my brother's here and I need to tell him I'm right online, Keith, and I'll see you later. Okay. Okay. Bye. My brother is also a writer and lives here. But there's no way you can be accurate when you're trying to recount conversations. If you don't have your tape recorder, you only get the gist. I can't tell you how often I've been interviewed and feel like I was misquoted. I don't like doing character pieces because I don't like making assumptions about people. I like to interview them and get the true sense of who they are than just doing it. So that'll be another fun one you can do later. Having said that, does anybody want to add anything to this particular exercise and how you might use it? I will add one word I put for touch, I put forbidden as one of my words. So really get outside the box when you do that. Anyone who wants to make a comment before we go to another one? No?
Is it always one word?
Oh, when you do the grid, thank you. No, oftentimes what I do in the grid is I write whole phrases. I use the grid a lot. And if I don't use the grid because the grid, gives you so much space, I just do a list. Right? But I do like the randomness, and Guggenheim's what you do is you pick random letters. It forces you into thinking of words that you wouldn't normally use. Because we end up, I see hands going up. We tend to use the same things over. How do I get outside of my head? And that's what all of these are. How do I get outside of my head? To me, writing is Zen. I love the Zen of writing by, oh God, he's my favorite writer. Now I'm blanking on his name, on who he is, the science fiction writer. Ray Bradbury. His book is incredible. Walter Mosley's book, if I can recommend it, I will write my novel this year. He's just incredible. And I've had the good luck of taking workshops, but it's when I just sit and it flows, that's where I'm trying to get. What do you have to do to make yourself comfortable to where that just happens? I'm going to throw a question out right now. If you guys are willing to admit it, who has writer's block now and or occasionally? You do. And we're going to share that later. I have procrastination, not writer's block. I have been working on one book for a year. I have 4 more pages to go, and I haven't finished it. And I started 2 or 3 after. But Kathy knows how, right? I still probably write 75,000 to 100,000 to 200,000 words a year. It just isn't going into that project that I need to do. So I don't believe in writer's block. I believe in what do you call it? Finish block. Just don't want to finish that project. So I'm going to go to my share screen again. And my
There's a question, Maryellen. Alexander,
Yes.
question.
Yes.
I just wanted to make a comment. I didn't know, but apparently I do this all the time. I do this exercise all the time where I'll actually make a word. Like I'll have a random word that I generate from a generator.
Right.
And then I'll break it down into each individual, like I'll get each letter of the word and make a new letter or a new word out of it. And then I'll write an entire story or a plot line or something out of it.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that is great. Where do you get what generator are you using?
I just find whatever, like a noun generator or a verb generator, something like that. And then, or I just look at a color and I think of the name of the color and then I just go down, or I go off of the mood or that kind of stuff in the color.
Right. Good.
Or I get a number and I'll just go off of the number, that kind of stuff. So I do that all the time.
I find
I
my
did something-
animals inspirational, by the way, as well. You can't believe how much I will get incredible stuff just from one cat's actions. Mariana, I think you were going to say something too.
Yeah, I'm participating on a poem a day project. And
Oh,
today
great.
I was at a stand stop and I was like, hi, I don't know what to write about. So I decided, like, it came up to me, I would write a poem where each line starts with the letter of the alphabet.
Oh
and it
yeah, I've
must
heard
be
of that.
a verb. So
Yeah,
I
that's a
just
great
took
one.
it out of my mind. So I went into this place where we have like verbs starting with and started writing the poem. It actually came out like I liked it.
I like it. And we're not talking editing this time through, but one of my favorite ways of doing poetry, because I'm not very original in poetry, is what I call found poetry. I will take a poem. And my first one that I did was Little White Bird by Sandberg. And I took what was thousands of words into something I could recite in 7 minutes, where I distilled it. And my favorite one is called Havana, and I might send Havana to everyone. I took a 7,000 word academic article on a museum in Havana. And I feel like I got the essence. It's women in revolution. I feel like I got everything she was trying to say in that by just careful editing. But we're not going to talk about that, but whatever techniques, and if you've got a technique, if you can put that in the chat for all of us to share, because these really are meant to be interactive, that would be wonderful. I don't know that we're going to go a full 10 minutes. We'll see how we go. What I would rather do is give you time, and then you guys tell me whether you are done or not. I posted this cartoon because my brother used to say that all the time. For me, when I'm writing a news article or a feature article, that first sentence, I can't go on until that first sentence is down. And so I would spend hours sometimes just getting that perfect first sentence. And then my brother one time said, good luck with the second sentence. And then I found the cartoon he stole that from. So I'm going to give you a couple of prompts because for you to write about. If there's something you just are inspired to do on your own, you do not have to use one of those. But one of them, I'm just calling it, what do you miss? And this I decided at the last minute from a talk I came to earlier where people were talking about they missed things in their childhood. We were talking about foraging when everything seemed free and easy, and now there's laws against foraging. And so I just posted a couple of photos. These are actually were sent to you earlier that are just evocative to me, what she might be missing. I used to do this. I used to run away from home once a week and go to a place and go on this and go into, this is in Slough House outside of Sacramento. I love traveling, but I especially love fresh oysters. And if you can see this, I'm a culinary historian as well. This is from a particular restaurant. I miss Dinah's in LA that made the best Dutch babies I have ever had. So that's just one idea. The other is what inspires you. This is me most of the time, just being with my cat. All of us can have our own evocation of what these photos mean to you. Find one of your own. If you're an artist, do your own. And I have to tell you, each one of these photos I have actually written on. This one was heartbreaking for me. And I don't know if you can see her wine glass. So we're going to actually pause the recording. Use one of the ones that I have. I will go back, find something in your own environment, but basically it's what do you miss or what inspires you? Or if you're working on a project now and you want to work on that, but let's see where we are at the 5-minute mark, Kathy?
Okay.
And then we'll see how many people are done and want to stop, because these are just to get us started. There's nothing final about this writing. Otherwise, we will pause. And I'm going to do some writing myself.
Have you already paused?
Not yet.
I will. I can do that.
Okay, thank you.
And we're back. Go ahead, Maryellen.
Great. So thank you so much. I'm going to ask everyone if they would like. We hope that all of you will. And if you don't feel that you want to read what you wrote because you're feeling shy, that I understand. But if you want to then share at least what the experience was, if you had difficulty with it, what would have helped, that would be great. So I'm just going to ask each one of you, we hope you will share. So who wants to go first? Mariana, thank you.
Okay, so I actually liked both prompts. So I actually got a little piece for each one.
Great.
First one, what do you miss? I miss the smell of the salty water on my hair. After a long day at the beach, I miss the voices in the bar while I sip my beer. I miss the wind on my hair while I ride my bike by the lake. I especially miss the smile on your face every time I see you. And then the other one I did, the sound of your laughter awakens my senses, brings me memories of sweeter days. Your small arms embracing me heightens my spirits and fills my heart with thoughts of better tomorrows.
It was wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing. That was great. And if you ever wanted to send that to us, let us know. I will talk about the morning coffee anthology later because we are recruiting original work. Anybody else want to share? It looks like Greg. You'll need to.
Well, you just emailed me. I figured it out.
Okay, great.
So what do I miss? 2019, finally able to go to live concerts again, pushing my way through the crush of bodies to get to the stage, sticking my head in the speaker like I did years ago when losing your hearing for 2 days seemed like a really good idea. Sound at that level is perceived as a wet wind and I feel it on my face. I'm feeling people on either side of me moving me, pushing me back and forth in wave. Then 2020, canceled undertones, canceled DKs, canceled English Beat, canceled X, canceled Violent Femmes, Jonathan Richman, Robin Hitchcock, like dominoes falling down. Now the crush of body seems impossible. The crescendo of crashing guitars seems inconceivable. But so did the moon, and I look forward to getting back there.
I am so impressed with everyone is doing. Thank you so much. This is really stellar work. Good. Who else wants to share? By the way, Greg, I just have to say this. When you had the Magritte, I wish I'd put Magritte up because I find that I use Magritte a lot when I'm having writer's block to get myself to just remember to just realize that things aren't always what they seem to be. So thank you for that. And yes, Alexander.
I was just wondering if I could share next.
Yes, of course.
Okay. So I wrote mine from the perspective of yet another not real person, because that's all I do, I guess. So let me read mine if I can actually read my handwriting. Okay, here we go. A long while ago, I used to be a planner just like you. I don't know when I stopped, but it happened in a snap of the fingers. It was a rubber band that being snapped on my wrist whenever I couldn't think of what today would look like. Would I take in my, oh God. Would I bake in my spare time? Plan out, oh God, okay, yeah. Plan out stories only I knew. I miss that. I miss those days when I would plan like a champ. Now all I do is I can't read this. Okay. Oh boy. I don't know. Remember
And
my
don't
schedule
feel, yeah, don't feel bad. The same with mine. I can't read my writing and I realized I should use the typewriter,
Yeah, same.
but good.
All I do is remember my schedule as I go. My new favorite question is, what am I going to do today? What's the plan? But I've never written it down. Not anymore. Do I ever plan up my day, or pick up my dry erase marker and write out today's schedule on a whiteboard. Draw out slashes across each completed task. I miss it. If I'm being honest with you, I miss it quite a lot. I wish I could go back to those days when I'd plan like a champ I used to have once. Oh God. Once in my youth. So I ask myself now, what's the plan for today?
Good. Thank you so much for sharing that. Good.
Yeah.
The other thing, if I can, and I do like the AWA, where you don't comment, but I noticed that you do some of the same things that I do. Is that as I get random ideas, I don't necessarily come up with a story. That's all wonderful because sometimes there's just a single line that gets you going. So I'm just going to tell you that I had the same problem and I ended up with just one line for mine, even though I said not to edit. And now I know exactly what the story was going to be. And the story is he was Fred to my Ginger.
Yeah, I didn't really go off any of the prompts that you get. I just looked at this pen.
Great. And that's
And-
good. It's whatever inspires you to just sit down for 15 minutes. That's all I'm trying to get people to do. 15 minutes a day. Just do it. Who else would like to share? Is there anyone else? No, some of you are too shy. All right. So again, these were all, story sparkers. One of the reasons why I wanted to do this story, Our Stories, and also if I did it again, I would do Our Stories, is again, just to realize that for most of us, we will put off, writing. But if you can just sit yourself down and get into the habit of writing, and to realize that writing is like piano playing. None of us can suddenly just sit down and see a piano and play a concerto, right? We have to learn scales first. And so I really do believe that writing is part inspiration. And some of it is you just practice, practice, practice. You just play with words. One of the games that, and I do like just sharing some games that I learned from writing, and that's when I came home every day from school. My father would have me take a look at the OED, the Oxford Dictionary, and we were very poor that he even had one. Surprised me. I had to find a word that he couldn't spell and that he didn't know the definition of, and I could never trick him. And the other game he played was called Fictionary. And that is, you would take a word from the dictionary and then you would create a plausible definition for it. And I didn't realize what he was training my brain to do. And that was to really increase my vocabulary. And the other was to let my imagination roam, because it didn't matter what the true word meant, right? You could make it mean something. And I'm going to ask the poets, who's a poet? We have Mariana, you're a poet. Any other poets here? Julian?
I'm not a poet, I just write.
Well, you just write. But that's how I feel about poetry. And I'd love to open this conversation up. But I had a friend that used to use color in poetry, and it never made any sense to me at all. And then I just went back and reread it. And then I realized that it wasn't about color for her, it was actually about rhythm. That if I really reread her poems, and she was almost using color to say the words don't matter. Right, so if anybody else would like to comment or share anything at this point, I would love for you to open up about it.
I actually had a really hard time with poetry back like until about 2 years ago. And I could not think of the idea of poetry. And then like with the pandemics and a lot of things, like the pandemics are the least of my life right now, the least of my worries, for you to have an idea. And all of a sudden I started reading poetry, and I started like going in to this open mic. And these guys started encouraging me and saying, look, anything you write is poetry if you want it to be. And I started trying on it. And what I realized is that when we do poetry, we don't really have to say exactly what we are feeling. We have to describe like inner thoughts, and that's what we have to get through. It doesn't have to make sense for anyone except for you, and it will make a different sense to the reader.
Mm-hmm. Good. Thank you. I have another question for the group, and that is, obviously you all joined us today. We do these as really, kind of shorts. They're meant to be, an hour. How many of you are writing just because you enjoy the process versus you actually hope to publish? All right, so I asked that as a dual question. Should I rephrase that one, Kathy? So speak about it rather than, I don't want numbers. So let me know if you're just doing this for the pure inspiration of writing, one of you at least talk about it. And if somebody is hoping to publish, then somebody else volunteer, the same person. Anybody want to volunteer? Thanks, Alexander first, and then.
Yeah, I do really like to write just for the fun of it. But
Great.
I do one day plan to publish a book if possible, but not at this moment. I'm busy with school and stuff, so.
Where are you going to school, can I ask?
Yeah, I'm going to Clark College. It's a community college in my area. So
Great. So
yeah.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Says she's a beginner, just learning the craft. Mariana loves to just write for the enjoyment of it.
Great. Anyone? How do you pronounce it? Is it Isatu? How do you pronounce your name?
I used to.
How about you?
It combines two of my passions, fountain pens and writing.
We've
So
got to
that's
connect.
why I write. So
Yeah.
I write for the enjoyment and for the pleasure of using my fountain pen to write.
Yeah. So I'm so glad that I met you in here. I hate to focus on it, but I have to tell you, there is something about the, fountain pens that opens up your creativity. I suddenly realized that because I have a problem of, what do you call it, artist block, where I never learned how to sketch. And there's something about that flow of that pen that I thought, if I put any color ink in it, I can start to sketch too. So that's good. Again, anyone that is thinking of publishing, or is this all for pleasure? Do we have anyone in this group?
I'd like to think I could sometime.
Okay, great. So here's the one thing. How many of you, when you say publishing, think book? I need to publish a book. How many of you realize that you can publish 1 word, 6 words, 4 sentences? So the reason I'm bringing it up is that we are part of the Renaissance Society and Friendship Force, but we also have a group that is part of the publishing company that I do, started out of a group that is a writers and artists group that has been around for almost 20 years in Sacramento. It's called Morning Coffee. We would get together every Thursday from 10 to noon. We would always have writing prompts and art prompts because the room is just art filled. And what we would do is you could create. The point is you got together, you created for an hour, you shared for an hour. And we haven't quite figured out how to recreate that in the virtual world. And that's what Bits and Pieces is partly doing. But that's something that I want to do moving into the future. And there's one thing about people that are in your own community, and I think it's really important. So I'm going to ask, how many of you are part of an artist or writers community in your area? Some of you. If you haven't done it, it's important. But what I love about Zoom, I can't begin to tell you what I love about Zoom. The Zoom meeting that I was on before was with 24 of some of the most brilliant women in the world that all just happen to be either food writers, cookbook authors, academicians, they have television shows or whatever. Before COVID, I would have not ever been able to meet any of them. I certainly would have felt too shy about talking to any of them. But in this new world, everybody realizes that we are this global community. So we will send you information about Morning Coffee. We are planning on starting that back up again, purely virtual. So I hope that with what we're doing, Kathy's doing a lot of art projects. I hope to do more writing ones. We're going to be doing some of this. We take a little bit of a hiatus, am I right, in the summer? Kathy, is the plan, but come fall, we want to, do that. Mariana, you're in Brazil.
I am Brazilian actually, and I can't find any writing groups here because I am not capable of doing poetry in Portuguese. Although I am a native speaker, I can only do poetry and write in English. My inspiration only works in English.
Huh.
That is fascinating. Good. So I'm going to put my email in the chat as well, so that
I did, Maryellen.
You did it already. So
I added your email.
Feel like doing it, even though we're not official, by the way, until September. We do have a group of writers. We do have an anthology. We've already done 2 Morning Coffee anthologies. And so we're going to invite people to Morning Coffee and to submit work to that anthology. We don't care what it is, you can work towards it. So I will keep in touch. We will do at least once a month virtual events throughout the summer. So we're planning for having one in May, June, July. We'll take August off and then we'll start back up with Bits and Pieces, where I'm going to plan on doing more. I really like writing a lot. So those are the programs that I'm going to do. Through Bits and Pieces. So I'm going to throw it back over to Kathy, and I thank all of you for showing up. This is fantastic. And thank you for sharing. It's really gutsy to share. It is hard to share. So thank you.
Maryellen, can you put your email in the chat again? Because I might have just sent it to one person. So thank you again so much for joining us today. I will be sending out an email connected to the Eventbrite registration. As soon as I've uploaded the video, you'll get a link to that. That will take you to our YouTube channel. Lots and lots of stuff on the channel. And it's fun. We're all about learning. We're all about growing and giving back to our community. So, give up your fountain pens, it says. So thanks again. I hope everybody has a great day and a great week, and hope to see you on a future one.
Great.